So most people, when they think of how could Unsplash help and support the contributors on their site, well, they could start to copy other websites. Let's start with Vidme, okay? So now people can tip, right? Which they could tip any amount, $1, $20, anything, right? Or they could subscribe to your channel for an amount that you set up, and that would be a recurring monthly amount. Other free stock photography websites, for instance, Pexels and Pixabay, have a small, tiny donation button. So if you go over to Pexels, you'll see a little PayPal button, and if you are on Pixabay, it's a little coffee button. Now, I've received multiple donations on both of these sites, and maybe received a couple of donations related to Unsplash, right? These are people who seriously sought me out and wanted to say, hey, I want to help support you in a small way, right? And I'm forever grateful for these people. It's not a lot of money, but any little bit counts, right? Now, Unsplash can copy that. I'm like, why don't they just put up a little button? But we'll get to why. And a few other ideas, I mean, ones that I've even had mentioned is another type of button, something like you now see on 500 pixels, I believe, 500 pixels, and where it's like you can set up like your services and people can see what they are, and then they could try and book you. Maybe if you're in their city or something like that, right? They could try and book you for whatever services you provide. Same kind of thing like you see on Dribbble, right? Like hire the designer, right? But in all honesty, this isn't gonna be like a constant thing. I mean, if any photographers are experiencing constant projects being referred to them through Unsplash, I'd love to hear about it. I know a few photographers that have. There is that opportunity there. Nah, I guess. And I mean, Unsplash, they could book through Unsplash, and maybe Unsplash could like take a small cut. Same with like the donation or copy Patreon and get pledges and take like 10 cents of every dollar.
With all these things on my mind, with all these...
So here is the thing. Yesterday, Luke shared a video talk that he did at BuzzFeed in New York. I believe it was a little while back. Now, there was a little question answer after, and someone asked about monetization of colors. They were asking in the usual sense of how's Unsplash gonna make money? Nothing about the contributors, whatever, it doesn't matter. And Luke mentioned a few ways where it could be done, and he also mentioned that investors and them had thought that native advertising may be the best. And suddenly I realized that Unsplash doesn't need little buttons for donations, okay? And the contributors don't need to beg for support and donations and things like that. They don't. Unsplash doesn't even need to try and sell prints native advertising. Just click. And on the subject, I really don't know much about advertising. I don't know much about native advertising. I don't know how any of this could be implemented or tracked or figured out so that contributors could benefit. Okay? So forgive me if this is completely ridiculous. But I just started to imagine the possibilities, and I kind of related it over to YouTube, right? So as I just mentioned, Luke brought up native advertising as a monetization strategy for Unsplash. Now, didn't mention anything about a revenue sharing potential with the contributors. However, I know they deeply care about their contributors and their community, and any kind of incentive for people to continue contributing makes a lot of sense. Think about YouTube, think about Vidme. Vidme will probably have a revenue sharing program eventually, right? But YouTube has it, and when YouTube started, people just were making videos because it was new, it was fun, it was interesting. Fast forward to today, and people are making really good livings and just making content on YouTube because of the ads, right? Never started out to make money from it. Much like contributors sharing their photos for free to Unsplash. How would this look on Unsplash though, right? So I had to start to kind of like brainstorm, and I had to start to think about it, but really, like I said earlier, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I've made $1.50 on YouTube and nothing here on Vidme. Maybe Unsplash could work out some kind of algorithm that uses the views, downloads, maybe the likes, maybe something worked in with the API that determines offsite, right? But they could work out this algorithm to determine the revenue to be shared with the contributor, right? Now, let's use an example of a company. So in my blog post, I decided to use Herschel Supply, and they make really cool backpacks and things like that for traveling and lifestyle and hanging out, whatever, right? Now, I thought of a few different ways that advertising could be done for Herschel. Okay, so the first one relates to searching on Unsplash. Luke mentioned that native advertising could easily be worked into search because someone searches for a keyword, something could come up that's directly related to that. So in Herschel's case, say someone searches backpack, they could have their native advertisement right there, sponsored, branding, that kind of thing. Relates, there's gonna be a bunch of photos on that page, the photos that show up and are viewed as everyone scrolls down and looks around. Those people may start to earn some kind of revenue. Maybe they earn more as photos are downloaded and engaged with. This would essentially be like what you see on Spotify, the branded playlist. Herschel Supply would make some branded collections that are themed on things related to them, right? Or things they believe in, right? To strengthen their brand. So for instance, say they do a Wanderlust theme where they're doing all kinds of travel, a tropical or an urban, or right. So in those collections, there could be obviously native advertising or a call to action to grab their bag, whatever. I don't know. One of the big, okay. So this will be important for everything, but Unsplash would need to make collections followable, much like Spotify to follow a playlist, right? They could hook into already created collections by the users that relate to the themes of Herschel Supply. So like I mentioned already, like say Wanderlust, and adventure and travel, that kind of thing. They could be connected into those. So they could be in search, and then obviously the photos in those collections are being viewed, downloaded, liked, everything related, and those are the kinds of things that will help the contributors earn some ad revenue. So this is where I have no idea. Unsplash does image recognition and can see where your photos are being used and how. I don't know about that one. Lastly, there could be sponsored collections, right? This would have to be something new on Unsplash where they either sponsor a featured collection that is released or they sponsor a new type of collection, the top 50 photos of the week. I don't know. I don't know if I explain this anyway, and I might have a tough time trying to cut it up. What do you guys think? Are there any Unsplash contributors here on VidMe? I'm curious, or are you someone who uses the photos on Unsplash for anything? So that's my rambling for today. What do you think? Is it an exciting time to be a creator? I mean, we've got VidMe, YouTube, Unsplash. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing or following here on VidMe. Drop a comment or upvote. See you tomorrow.